a priest, a con man, and a llama herder. What do all of these things have in common? One man. On this week's episode of Two Crime Newsies, we dive into a bizarre case about a priest who swindled his way into hearts around the Midwest. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this week's episode of Two Crime Newsies. I'm Jen.
Hi, I'm Tina.
Hi, my friend.
Hi. I had to hold back a laugh when you were doing
llama
your intro.
herder?
A llama herder.
A llama herder. When I think of a llama, I always think of those llamas in the Peru and South America that you see pictures of wearing like sunglasses. I love me a llama. Can I just say that? I do. I love me a llama.
Have you ever seen a llama in person?
Yes, I have petted a llama. You haven't petted a llama?
No, never.
Oh, I have petted a llama. I'll be honest. I have been spit at by a llama.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. In your face?
No, I think it spit like at my shirt. I don't remember
How
quite so much,
rude.
but where it spit on me. But I remember it happening.
Was it very phlegmy or just watery?
I don't remember. I think it's something I try to block out.
I was going to say, was it a lot of spit or just a little?
I think they're like,
why do they spit?
it's a llama thing.
I know, but why?
I don't know. Maybe it's their defense mechanism.
Oh, they're shooting darts at you.
Basically.
Hey, that's a good defense mechanism. You know, just like start spinning. No one's going to mess with you.
That's true.
I'm not going to mess with you.
Oh, well, I am excited to get into this episode. But before we do, I want to say thank you so much for all those who have contributed to our coffee fund. And if you don't know what we're talking about our buymeacoffee.com/2crimenewsies page.
That's right. We have a coffee fund. And if you would like to donate to it, we certainly appreciate it. Any donation of any size is definitely welcome. And you can also find our Buy Me a Coffee page at twocrimenewsies.com. At the top of the homepage, there is a link to Buy Me a Coffee right there. And I am almost done with my cup.
I'm on my third cup of the day.
For you.
I know.
I wish
need
I
it.
had that ability to take multiple cups of coffee per day. I'm usually at 0 to 1 these days.
All right, I have to get into this episode. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so this week we're talking about a series that Tina loves. It's called Fakes, Frauds, and Scammers on the Vice channel. And Tina loves anything fakes, frauds, and scammers.
I do. Because it's usually nonviolent stories. They also incorporate, though, mystery, psychology, and we hope, justice. And those are all the elements that make true crime so intriguing, don't you think? And I'm very sensitive to violence. I don't even enjoy many action movies because usually they have a lot of violence in them. Why don't they make action movies non-violent? You ever thought about that? Whoever's out there and that's listening, if you make movies, make a good action non-violent movie. I'd watch that.
For Tina.
Please. What a dull grown-up I've turned out to be.
No.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, well, this week's Fakes, Frauds, and Scammers episode is called Fake Priest, and he's accused of stealing millions of dollars.
Doll hairs.
Doll hairs, yes, dollars. Not good. The show opens with someone saying the Catholic Church has had scammers for over 2,000 years. Then we see an interview with a man who's wearing a black priest's robe and has a cross around his neck who says, "You have the audacity to call me a con artist." Then another man comes on the screen and he says, "We hate to break it to you, but your mother has been taken over by a cult." Then another person speaks over what looks like a picture of that same priest, and that person said he can be cunning, charming. Then the show flashes to a picture of a man holding a llama in his arms. Then the same person says angry as several mugshots are shown on the screen. What an introduction.
But the introduction isn't over.
Nope.
Then we hear someone say that Ryan was not actually a priest. And another person says, "I'm 10 times more a priest than they'll ever think of being." 10 times more a priest. 10 times, I mean, that's,
That's a lot of
That's
priests.
a lot of priests.
The open continues with different clips of the priest, dramatic music, cuts of police interrogation video, and we learn that the priest we're talking about went around different parts of the Midwest for over 30 years starting churches. Then the screen goes black, the music fades, and the word fake pops up on the screen in red, and then the word priest appears in white. Talk about an intro.
Jen, before I get into my next part, I just want to say this episode was pretty brief. It was about 10, 11 minutes long, but boy, did they pack it with really good info. It went so fast and you got so much information in that short amount of time. It's a really good one to watch.
I recommend everybody goes and watches it.
Agreed. Okay, so we meet Alex Schumann. He opens the show and he says he's a journalist and spent a few years investigating Father Ryan. I also want to mention that Alex's lower third says he's the host of the Fake Priest podcast.
Apparently there's a whole podcast about it.
I'm making a note to check that out. Ryan says he read an article about a woman who lost her mother to a cult. We see the article on screen. It's from the Courier, and the headline reads, "I lost my mother to cult-like religious order." The article identifies the alleged cult leader as Ryan St. Anne Scott. So Alex says he does what we all do when we're curious. We go to Google. He Googles Ryan St. Anne Scott, and he says one of the first things he sees is a photo from what he thinks is maybe the 70s. We see a photo. Yeah, we see groovy. Is that what you said? We see a photo on screen, and this guy is wearing a black tank top tucked into blue jeans with a thick black belt and a huge belt buckle. He has this head of thick, dark hair that goes past his ears, but still short enough to be well above his shoulders. He has a grin on his face, and Alex adds a porn star mustache. Ew. Alex then says, "How is this guy a priest?"
When I saw this photo, I truly thought the exact same thing that Alex says. He thought, how in the world is this man a priest? And after seeing this picture, it looks like he would fit in really well with the Doobie Brothers, in my opinion. By the way, side note here, I did some digging into 1970s music while looking for a band to compare this picture to. And let me tell you, there are some groovy bands back then. From the Doobie Brothers to Pink Floyd, Queen, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Dolly Parton, AC/DC, Bob Marley, just to name a few. Wow, the music that came from that decade.
You really threw in Dolly Parton with AC/DC.
Sure did.
Poor Dolly is in Dollywood, minding her own business, and you're throwing her name into Father Scott's Warp Story.
Dolly Parton, I highly doubt you're listening to our podcast, but if you are, thank you for listening. You should subscribe. Let's get to chatting, and I'm sorry if I offended you.
Back to the show. By the way, I like how in your notes you wrote, Tina, back to the show, as if I'm the one who derailed us off topic here.
I had to. I went down a little rabbit hole.
Anyway, back to the show. Alex says Father Scott isn't a priest at all. Now we go to a clip of Father Scott.
Naughty, naughty priest.
It's an interview from Studio A Productions, and the interview asks him, "How many abbeys did you have?" And Father Scott says, "We only had one abbey, but we moved." And if you're wondering what an abbey is, so was I. And this would probably be very disappointing to the nuns who taught me during the 1 year I went to Catholic school. Anyway, according to the Britannica, Jen, do you like how I went to the Britannica instead of Google AI?
I am very proud of you. I feel like it makes us sound so much more studious than Google AI or ChatGPT.
According to the Britannica, I wish I had my readers on, an abbey is a group of buildings housing a monastery or convent. Father Scott says they started in Wisconsin, then went down to Iowa, then went up to North Dakota, then down to Illinois, back to Iowa, then down to Missouri. He calls it moving, but it sounds a lot like running to me, allegedly.
Allegedly. We hear that Father Ryan did this for about 30 years. And apparently when he would arrive in town, he would make quite the splash by what it sounds. He would let everyone know he was there, and that would cause a buzz around him and made people feel like he could be trusted. Alex says he would go to city council meetings, he was talking to newspapers, he would hang out with the mayor, so he was no stranger to being seen out and about.
Alex says people were impressed by Father Scott, and we see a montage of pictures of him on screen. He's in his full priest attire and looks nothing like the 70s picture that we saw earlier.
Completely different looking man.
Alex says when he spoke with people who had met Father Ryan, he got the impression that this man was a cunning and charismatic guy.
And unfortunately, that right there is what led people to fall for his act. And I can honestly say, I would certainly believe that someone who presented himself as a priest was charming and had all these qualifications of having open churches throughout several states. I would absolutely believe him. I think I would. I don't think many people would question him or his intentions.
Right, and I think people are more likely to question the intentions of one of the new agey types of churches because you don't know what type of training that these church leaders may have had. But with the Catholic Church, you just assume that they follow the same order and training as all the other ones over the past 2,000 years.
Correct.
What's interesting is that Alex says when he met Father Ryan and interviewed him, he did not get the same impression that other people did. He didn't think this guy was charming or impressive at all.
In the world of crime, it's often the smallest details that cost people the most, the things they didn't see coming. And when it comes to your home and auto insurance, overpaying every month without realizing it, that's a costly mistake.
That's where Quentin Brown with Shamrock Insurance comes in. Instead of locking you into one option, Quentin shops over 25 top-rated insurance carriers to find you the best coverage at the best price, so you're not left paying more than you should.
Whether you're a homeowner, driver, business owner, or even a truck driver, Shamrock Insurance has you covered.
No surprises, no wasted money, just smart protection tailored to you. So before your next bill hits like a bad plot twist, make the smart move.
Call Quentin Brown with Shamrock Insurance today at 512-337-2482 and let him shop for you. Because saving money should not be a mystery.
If you missed that number, it's 512-337-2482. We'll include it in the show notes. Don't wait. Give them a call today.
On this show, we see a few pictures of the items that Alex says Father Ryan had shown him to prove he was a priest. The first is what looks like a white paper, almost like a certificate with a picture of a man in the middle who turned out to be the Pope. I zoomed in on the picture and certificate and tried to read it. And my husband at this point was making fun of me, asking if he needed to buy me Ben Franklin spectacles because I was squinting so much. I'll borrow your readers. And from what I could make out on the screen, it read something like, Congregation of St. Paul proudly imparts a special blessing to what looks like Holy Rosary Abbey is what I think it said, but I'm not for sure since the text was a little blurry. And then it continued with as a pledge of divine grace and favor. And Alex says that Father Ryan had shown him the certificate, and apparently Alex says that you can order this certificate online from the Vatican gift shop. Red flag, in my opinion.
I wish that he had had this information when he was interviewing Father Ryan. It sounds to me like he did the interview, saw the certificate, did some digging, found the certificate at a Vatican gift shop. But if he had that information beforehand, he could have confronted him with it. Like, hey, I got one too. Here's mine.
I ordered one
from the Vatican gift shop. Does this mean I'm also a priest? That's so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we meet Jonathan Brady, who says he's Father Ryan's biological son.
I thought that they couldn't have children.
Well, Jonathan says something big here. He says the simple fact that I'm here wipes out any legitimate claims to ordination that he has in the eyes of the church. And while Jonathan is talking, we see an excerpt from the Chicago Tribune dated February 6, 2005, and it reads, Scott says that as a boy growing up in northern Illinois, he wanted to be a man of the Catholic cloth, despite his family's Methodist faith. His dream was almost derailed, he says, in his 20s when he conceived a child out of wedlock. Another excerpt from the same article reads, to cover up his sin, Scott says he married, divorced, and put the child up for adoption. all at the direction of a Catholic priest who told him to do so before converting to Catholicism so that he would still qualify for the priesthood. Jonathan says, if you're a con man trying to create your own story, you get rid of the evidence. And he says he is the evidence.
I feel like his interview is a mic drop moment when he says that, and the article goes from the Chicago Tribune flashed up on the screen. After Jonathan says he was adopted at 8 years old and no one knew he existed, we see on the show a person covered in a black blanket from head to toe sitting in a chair in front of a silver or white backdrop. The person's lower third, or CG as they're known in television news, meaning the identifier of the person, says former follower, and we hear the person say, I was a nun in Father Ryan's church. She says when she met him, everything seemed okay at first, but then little things started adding up.
We go back to Jonathan's interview, and he says when Father Ryan is done and burnt out of an area, he moves on to another place with another set of victims. Alex tells the camera that the elderly women in Father Ryan's church were giving him money. And the anonymous former nun says Father Ryan tricked people out of several $1 million.
Tina, as we're listening to these interviews, I can honestly say that I had never heard of this case, and it really surprises me. I feel like something like this should have been more widely known about. And I'm honestly surprised that Netflix, for instance, has not done a documentary about it.
I know, this story is so intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say real quick, we just mentioned this, you and I, between ourselves. I keep going back and forth between Father Scott and Father Ryan. I'm going to try to stick with Father Ryan.
Yes, please do. Back to the story. The former nun says that Father Ryan would file appeals to fix the abbey's roof, to fix the abbey's heating, ask for everyone to send what they can to help us, including generosity and gifts as well as in prayer. Then Alex says that Father Ryan would go and buy valuable Catholic artifacts with that money, and according to his son, he started dealing in religious artifacts. Tina, he's not a drug dealer. He's a religious artifact dealer. I didn't even know there was a market for that.
Same. So his son says he was also dealing rare religious manuscripts and religious items and was doing it online. But what I want to know, Jen, is how the heck he got his hands on these rare items. Religious manuscripts? First of all, I would think any real and rare religious manuscript would be in a vault somewhere, either in a museum or a church.
We see one of these so-called items for sale on the show, and it was a blinged out ring. It was a big gold ring with a square thing of diamonds around what looks like a square ruby or something in the center, and it was priced at $4,500. Tina, did you see? It's priced at $4,500, but beneath it says free shipping. I mean, why not? Free shipping, you may as well add to cart.
If I'm paying $4,500 for anything, I absolutely expect free shipping.
We then see another picture of a for sale item titled Bishop/Abbott's Traveling Crozier. I'll be honest, I didn't know what a crozier was, so I had to look it up. And then Tina had to help me look it up again so I could pronounce it correctly. And according to Google AI, it's a stylized shepherd crook-shaped staff, which is carried by bishops and abbots as a symbol of their pastoral authority and office. There you go. Now you know. That hook was posted on eBay for $375 with a $15 shipping charge.
Jen, we saw him holding something like that in a picture earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a $375 purchase should still get free shipping.
I'd hope so.
Alex says the reason Father Ryan would leave town eventually is that the local police or the local Catholic diocese would start getting the word out about Father Ryan being a fraud. Alex also says that his time in Galesburg, Illinois was probably his most successful run, not just as a fake father, but also a farmer.
We hear not only was he busy doing church things, he was also busy doing llama things. The man was a llama farmer. Here on the show, we see pictures of Father Ryan scooping up llama dung in the midst of 7 llamas. Tina, the man has llamas.
Not just any llamas. These ones were special, rare, and expensive llamas.
Special llamas.
Alex says fake Father Ryan was using his church donations to buy these llamas.
Naughty, naughty llama farmer.
Absolutely. And another reason this is a red flag is because priests and nuns are known to live modest, simple lives and avoid luxurious and worldly possessions, including llamas. This llama farm should have raised numerous llama-colored flags.
My husband was sitting next to me as I was taking notes for this episode, and his comments about this priest having llamas got me laughing. One of the things he reminded me of was that llama spit, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, and I told him that it wouldn't be very holy if one of those llamas spit on the priest. But he turned it on me and said, what if one of them spits on him and it's holy water?
Well, I think Father Ryan could use a gallon or two of holy water at this point.
Definitely.
We haven't even talked about how much these llamas set him back, Jen.
They were pricey llamas.
They were $3,000 to $6,000 each.
Holy smokes.
But that's not all, Jen. Father Ryan also had a petting zoo. And as part of that zoo, he would sell the llama fleece and called it monastic fleece.
Tina, this man is making some coin off these llamas. Not to mention, I didn't know that there was more than one breed of llama.
No.
I've always assumed alpacas fall into the little llama category, but apparently there's fancy llamas too. And that's what the priest had at his llama farm.
I really want to Google the difference between llamas and alpacas right now, but I'll refrain. I couldn't tell you the difference.
Maybe your Botanica has something about all the llamas in it.
I'll look later. Okay. Again, Jen, back to the story. How does one even know about this? How do you decide one day that you want to be a priest and start a church and buy llamas? But not just any llama will do. It has to be a fancy llama. And that you want to start collecting and selling rare religious artifacts.
With free shipping sometimes.
It sounds to me like this man had too many hobbies and needed a way to fund those hobbies, and he thought a church would be a good place to get that funding, allegedly.
Back to monastic fleece. Father Ryan's fleece selling llama business, apparently people would be buying from a monastic fleece thinking they were supporting the priests and the nuns and doing something good, when really, you're funding this so-called priest llama habit and whatever other habits he had.
I just thought of a nun habit.
Huh?
A nun habit.
A nun habit.
You know what? That's what they wear. They're called habits.
Oh, I didn't. Is that their little outfits?
Like the little thing on their head? Like the habit.
See, you did learn something in Catholic school.
I learned one thing. But I just thought, that's pretty punny, Jen. You said habit a lot. We're talking about Catholic stuff. Okay, sorry. That was such a dad. Was that a mom joke? Dad joke? Mom joke?
An old person joke.
An old person joke. Absolutely.
Let me get your readers around.
All right. Back to the story. Not only was Galesburg, Illinois, Father Ryan's most successful venture, Jonathan says it was also when the Attorney General stepped in. And when that happened, he says Father Ryan fled the state to Missouri. He packed up and left seemingly overnight, leaving behind 19 llamas.
Tina, he left close to $100,000 of llamas behind. At $6,000 a llama. Why not take those with you? Like, it is worth renting a tractor trailer. Not smart, in my opinion. He was not using his thinker.
Speaking of thinkers, did you do that math?
No, I'll be honest. My husband did that math for me.
I
was kind of hoping that we could just fly by that because I was kind of proud of the being able to give those numbers, but I did not give those numbers. My husband came up with that. He spit it out too. He was just like, Jen, that's almost $100,000. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh, that is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But how is he supposed to pack up 19 llamas overnight?
I don't know. That sounds like a woolly situation in my opinion. But I do find this hilarious because at this point we see a picture on the screen of a newspaper and it says Llama Drama. I love the headline. Truly. That's some clever writing. Whoever came up with that at the newspaper station.
You see, Jen, this is why I'm glad we both watch these shows because I completely missed that. And after I read your notes, I went back to look for it and there it was. Llama Drama. I agree. Great headline.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go back to the anonymous nun, and she says she, quote, ran up against his temper one day, meaning Father Ryan, which I take that to mean a nice nun way of saying she made him mad. She says she asked to leave and he wouldn't let her go. Then she says after 2 days went by, he decided he would let her go, but at his will and not hers. The nun goes on to say a church family who had figured out who Father Ryan really was gave her his real name, and we see it on screen as Randall Dean Stocks. She says when she searched the internet for his name, she pulled up an arrest record.
Naughty, naughty.
And we see a portion of it on screen. And it says he was sentenced to 3 years probation on February 3rd, 1994, though we don't see what the conviction was. But we do see records that show he was excommunicated from the American Catholic Church.
Alex says this nun started uncovering who the so-called Father Ryan really was, and we see a document on the screen including a snippet of one that reads, Mr. Scott is currently on probation. She says she tried to warn people, but a lot of them didn't believe her.
Jonathan is back, and he says Father Ryan's biggest moneymakers were Rosanna and Sheila. Another interesting twist.
Who are Rosanna and Sheila?
I know this started out strange, Jen, but it's about to get weirder.
Yup.
Alex says Rosanna allegedly adopted Father Ryan when he was 50 years old.
50?
Jonathan tells us a little more about Rosanna, and he says she joined the church as a nun, and she was a highly religious woman who wanted to dedicate her last years to her faith and to God. And now we see a legal document on screen from Knox County that reads Rosanna as a petitioner and lists Randall Dean Stocks, aka Ryan Patrick Scott, as an adoptee over the age of 18.
Why in the world would an elderly woman or anyone in general adopt their 50-something-year-old priest? This is beyond strange to me. We hear that he claimed she had adopted him as an adult because the abbey would then inherit some of her land and her money whenever she passed away.
I think she could have simply donated those things in her will.
Mm-hmm.
We now hear about Sheila. Jonathan says she also came to the church as a nun, and the anonymous nun says at that time, Father Ryan forced her to sign over all her possessions. Alex says it turned out to be over $100,000 that she turned over to him. But in her mind, it was a loan. And in Father Ryan's mind, it was a donation. When Sheila and her family attempted to get the loan back, Father Ryan told them the money was gone.
This is when we hear that not only did Father Ryan take people's money, he made people believe that all their sins had been absolved. He had even married people. So in the eyes of God, they weren't really married. So they'd have to do it all over again. Everything he did while he was pretending to be a priest was not actually real.
And that's when Alex says that there's a much deeper crime here in terms of people's spirituality. Alex says Father Ryan was in jail for a short time in Missouri, but he says he didn't face any real consequences because the prosecutor was hesitant to say that he wasn't really a Catholic priest or that his version of Catholicism wasn't true.
I feel like he's hiding in the margins, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan's son says that anytime you strap the word church to law enforcement, they back off. He says it's like a magic wand, and the police are not going to touch the topic with a 20,000-foot pole.
Then we see a Facebook page pop up on screen. It says Ryan Scott, and the profile picture is of a 70s-looking Ryan Scott in a priest's robe. It's a very Napoleon Dynamite looking photo, if you get what I mean.
It is.
It says he has 3,000 friends, and it lists his job as a retired Catholic priest. And from this evidence, and also from what Alex says he's seen, he says we have not heard the last of Father Ryan pretending to be a priest.
Alex says that he caught the so-called Father Ryan attaching an address to accept donations to a church in Portugal. So at the time of the recording, he went from the Midwest to targeting people in Europe.
The last thing we hear from the anonymous nun is pretty profound, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She says he's still hurting people, but that he will face justice somewhere. If not this life, then the afterlife.
At the end of the show, we see a graphic pop up on the screen which reads, Vice World News requested comment from Ryan Scott on all of the allegations in the film but did not receive a reply. I obviously had to know more when the episode finished, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, like I tend to do. I had a rough time finding information on Ryan Scott, so I turned to Google AI for help. Apparently, Ryan Scott frequently changes his name, which makes him hard to find. He also apparently has a tendency to file for bankruptcy, is what I read on Google AI, and move across state lines, which makes him even harder to find.
I also went on a hunt for Ryan Scott's Facebook page, but because there's a never-ending list of people named Ryan Scott,
I bet.
Truly, the list is never ending. I didn't find the end of it. I didn't come across his profile. I was mostly curious if he was interacting with people on there and what he was posting.
What a crazy story, Tina. I was kind of fascinated by this one. I'm shocked that it wasn't like a documentary on a network like Peacock or Netflix or Prime or any of the other ones.
Yeah, it's a really good story. Do you now see why I like fakes, frauds, and scammers?
I do. It's I don't want to say, it's just lighter crime. It's not death and destruction.
It still hurts people.
Yes.
It really does. I mean,
Yes.
some of these people lost their entire life savings, and that's horrible. And some people's faith,
Yeah.
I'm sure, has been harmed
It's sad.
in this. It's awful, but
everybody survived. I
Everybody-
think that's how I mean it.
everybody does survive. And we do hope that at the end of these stories that you do hear that the person who did all of this damage will face justice in some way. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he has gotten his here yet, but you never know if he starts making waves again
Yeah.
and then finds himself in court.
What an episode.
Yeah, it's a good one, Jen.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Fake frauds and scammers. More?
More, please. Well, if you enjoyed this week's episode or any of our others, please share them with a friend. It really helps get the word out about our podcast. Also, click that subscribe button so you never miss out on an episode. They'll automatically download to whatever platform you're listening to us on. And we just want to say thank you again for all the love and support we get from everybody around the world. It is truly incredible. Tina and I are just two ordinary people doing what we love. We get to hang out together and tell some interesting stories that we've watched in other documentaries. It's so much fun. And so thank you so much for listening to us.
Agreed. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a 5-star review. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us if there's a specific genre of true crime that you're interested in, you want to hear us do more of.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And we will talk to you again next week. Bye.